Hi everyone, Sunil Prasahara here, the President and the CEO of the Project Management Institute. I just wanted to thank you all for inviting me to come and talk to you all at the Common Ground Symposium for 2020. And I know that we have chapter representation from Bangladesh, India, and Sri Lanka. So thank you all for joining us today and giving me the opportunity to speak to you. I know the theme of today's symposium is creating new realities. And of course, that is a challenge and an issue that is faced by all governments around the world today, especially because of the pandemic and COVID-19. And of course, we have to be very visionary and creative as organizations and governments start to stand themselves back up to what will be a new reality as we go into the future.
When I look ahead of the future, I think that the biggest challenge will be understand really the work of artificial intelligence and where is the place for project managers and people working in projects.
The changes of project management processes, the changes of the way project managers work will definitely be more reliant on technology.
And that's going to increase the importance of how people work together and collaborate. That's going to grow an increasingly important component of personal skills, collaboration skills, and leadership skills that go above and beyond the traditional technical skills of project management.
But we need to prepare the machines to deliver our projects better, so we're not doing the repetitive tasks ourselves. So we're not reactive to the market, we create the next market of project management.
The future of project management is, I would say, disrupted. Fast delivery, compressed cycles, as well as fast failure, if that is the case.
Leading business with agility. Any future development should reflect that.
I think in future of project management, it will be more agile and more business related.
Because these days we talk about value. In order to understand the value of that project, you need to understand the business. You got to have the technical management skills, the leadership skills, but also understand the business.
In a global environment, it's going to be more diverse cultures coming into the workplace. Therefore, a different take on skills, different time zones, totally different business practices. So you need to plan for those challenges.
We need to take care of our environment, to take care of our planet, to go for sustainable projects that take care of the human being.
When we talk about DevOps and we talk about Agile, I'm asked, do those kind of methodologies strip away the need for a project manager? I think absolutely not. I think we are in need of even more project managers in the future. We are getting more and more project-oriented in our businesses, in our societies.
Artificial intelligence will take some of the jobs, but I think they cannot be a leader. So as a project manager, if you are a good leader, you are going to continue to perform your profession.
So as project managers, we have to get better at leading teams and leading people, working with people, and find ways to include automation in what we do while still maintaining our human aspect, our humanity.
It's difficult to see something clear in the future, but we should stay prepared to face with flexibility new challenges, new situations. Be prepared to change into something completely different.
I love that video because there are a lot of asks of the project professional that came out of that those few executive leaders talking. Some of the points: AI, the use of technology, processes, different ways of working. We need to be doing more collaboration. Personal skills are important. You know, fast delivery, agility, business understanding, leadership skills, humanity, diversity, global activities, inclusiveness. You know, very difficult to see the future. So many asks, so many requirements to ensure that we can all come together to make sure that we can have an effective delivery process when we are undertaking projects. So very quickly, let me just kick off that, you know, one of the things that we at PMI have been really advocating is the fact that as we move into the future, it's very, very important to be visionary. So I wanted to call out some of the next gen project talent that we see in Asia that we advocated over the course of 2020. Whether we are starting next gen technology organization startups, which is, Rajesh, or whether it's design thinking for rideshare applications with Vidya and CodeWave, or it's even solutions to help feed India with Vihari. So, these are young up and coming professionals making a difference. And, let's have a look at just one of those particular initiatives with Vihari.
No other country can feed India. India has to become self-sustainant, and that's one of our objectives. We build these amazing farms, give consumers the best experience and the best product. My name is Vihari, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Urban Kisan. In my own city, which I live in, we run out of water in many places. Right, and we bring in tankers of water from somewhere else where there is water. It always questions as to what happens if that place also runs out of water. What happens to all the farmlands? What happens to, in general, what is the way ahead, and how is the next generation going to do things differently? And if the next generation has to do things differently, then shouldn't we start now already? To lay down the foundation for the next generation, right? So this kind of is very important. This is a very important question to me personally. What we do at Urban Kisan is we build farms right in the heart of the city. These are vertical hydroponic farms, and we deliver the produce directly to consumers from the farm and via a subscription-based app. So consumers can subscribe to our farm and we deliver the produce directly to their home. We started back in 2017 when I met my co-founder, Dr. Sairam. So he used to do a lot of experiments in his balcony where, he used to grow everything what is required for his house, and which kind of intrigued me and led me to understand that why isn't anyone doing this? Why is not everyone growing it in their own home? Where we started selling home kits, just like how he used to grow in his house. We used to build home kits in such a way that everybody could grow it in their own house. And then we later realized that a lot of potential is in selling the produce itself, because people don't have the time or the space. So that's where we started building farms. So the kind of farming we do is about 30 times in production, 30 times more they produces with 95% less water, and it does not use any soil or pesticides. So basically, we will be growing produce which is worth about 4 acres produce or 5 acres of produce in about 5,000 square feet of space. So that's huge production in a very small, tightly knit place. The end goal of Urban Kisan is, I wouldn't call it an end because it's quite a continuous journey. The market is very big. What we definitely know for the next 18 months which is certain, is we want to build about 100 farms and enable and access consumers as much as possible. This has to be as accessible as possible. So we're not a premium brand. We do not sell high quality produce at very high prices. We sell high quality produce at the same price at market. We just want to give clean, sustainable, local food to as many people as possible. That's the objective of the company. So we stand for 3 things: fresh, local, and sustainable. So what we are trying to solve in India doesn't necessarily end here. It can be applied to many other countries like UAE, also all the other island countries where every other nation is currently pushing towards self-sustenance, because post-COVID, every country, all the imports and exports have stopped, right? Major countries like UAE and Singapore are majorly import-driven countries. So we're trying to also work with these governments and see how we could provide self-sustenance to these countries as well.
Wow. What a fantastic initiative. And so, that's project management. That's what that is. And I hope that continues to grow as a significant business venture that's really going to make a difference across the globe. Of course, another area that PMI has been advocating has been the most influential projects for 2020. And of course, as we know, COVID has played such a big part in the world this year that many projects have taken a slant towards healthcare, whether it's the creation of the Nightingale hospitals in the UK, or it's been the search for vaccinations by many medical organizations across the globe in search very quickly to find some effective vaccination that can be deployed en masse, scaled and employed en masse. So a lot of the projects for 2020 really focus around the pandemic, etc. However, there were many also that featured that were more traditional. And I want to talk about one specifically in India that featured in our most influential projects. And that was the Sardar Patel Stadium, which featured as number 23 in our stadium. And I have a small video to share with you some of the complexities that were involved in the creation of this stadium. So let's take a quick look at that, shall we?
Far from its origins as an English village pastime, cricket is now estimated to be the second most watched sport in the world, with over 2 billion followers. And with its great love for the sport, it's fitting that India is now home to the largest cricket stadium in the world, the Sardar Patel Stadium in Gujarat, commonly known as Motera Stadium. Originally built in 1982 with a seating capacity of 49,000, the Motera Stadium has hosted some historic games. But when plans for renovating the 25-year-old stadium were proposed to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he opted to rebuild the ground completely. Having previously spent 13 years as Chief Minister for Gujarat, Modi has focused on bringing economic growth to the area through large civil engineering projects. For example, the recently completed Statue of Unity, the world's tallest statue. After demolition in 2015, the stadium began its gigantic overhaul, bringing a wealth of new jobs and economic opportunities to the area. Now completed with 110,000 spectator seats, the new Sardar Patel Stadium has overtaken the Melbourne Cricket Ground as the largest cricket stadium in the world, with almost 10,000 more seats. India's love for cricket is now matched by a world-class stadium, ready to host test match cricket for years to come. With 360-degree seating and uninterrupted viewing from every seat, the stadium is an awe-inspiring place to watch the game. Completed in February 2020, the venue's first event was Namaste Trump, welcoming the US President for his visit to India. Restrictions on gatherings have meant that the stadium is yet to host the competitive cricket it was designed for, but when it does, the view will be magnificent.
Wow, what an amazing achievement. And I can't wait to go and visit that stadium and watch India play its fantastic cricket. So I'm looking forward to that day. Okay, the PMI has been around, we're in our 51st year, but even still, we can confront each year with new challenges and new changes. And of course, COVID has been a big one for us. And this is a couple of statements that was made by the CEO of Deloitte just a couple of weeks ago at the Fortune 500 event that I attended, where he was saying, in some research that they've recently submitted, 85% of CEOs are saying that digital transformation and change has really accelerated largely due to COVID-19. And that at the same time, the CEOs are really focused on how they can develop their own talent and how they can stop people leaving and maintain their employee base, and so improve their retention. It's becoming a top priority for CEOs to really ensure that it maintains its talent base, and at the same time it can the organization can pivot faster on a digital transformation. Two key points that are driving more project work for communities around the world. And of course, COVID has not been the only shock. There have been multiple other effects. And we actually have a signpost report which talks about, which you can download from our website, which talks about all the different factors that could be affecting the future of work. It could be global warming. It could be rising water levels. It could be, increase in populations. It could be the use of technology to take away roles, but at the same time enhance capabilities. Many, many factors, which some are creeping up on us slowly, and the world feels, oh yeah, we can handle those. But others hit us with a complete shock, like, for example, COVID. I talked a little bit about Africa. The African continent is massive, and you can fit all of these countries, China, United States, India, Europe, into the landmass of Africa. And there really is going to be a youthquake over the next 30 years in Africa. And in fact, the population is expected to double from 1.2 billion people to 2.4 billion people by 2050. And what that actually means is that there's going to be a proliferation of youth and a requirement for infrastructure, homes, housing, hospitals, schools, roads, and so on, cities, and so on and so forth. So you can imagine, I think between now and 2050, it's estimated that there needs to be 65,000 homes built every day for every single day of the week for the next 30 odd years, 65,000 homes to accommodate all of the increase in population in Africa. So 65,000 homes built a day, every single day from now for the next 30 odd years, just to accommodate the growth. And you can just imagine the scale of the projects that are required in that space. So again, many countries in Africa looking to this, say, okay, this is going to require funding, it's going to require resources, it's going to require skill sets, it's going to require people who can turn ideas into reality. So this is a Africa example, but the same thing is happening in Latin America. The same thing is happening also in India to some extent as well as other parts of the world. Oil, I talked about. Here's a couple of extracts from our signpost report as well. On the left-hand side, you see the price of crude oil and what has happened as a consequence of COVID. But even taking the COVID situation out of the equation, you can see a natural decline in the price of oil, and that is actually forcing governments and oil companies to rethink about how their future might be as this trend continues. On the right-hand side, you see the yellow curve is the important one. It shows the increase in demand for renewable energy over the same time frame. So you can see this exponential growth and in demand for renewable energy, the need for finding other ways, alternative ways to be able to find any energy sources across the globe. So with these two trends, you can see how an organization that for many years has perhaps been in the oil business, all of a sudden having to pivot and change and create the skill sets required and the propositions to really move towards a renewable energy service provision. That's going to require new skills, new capabilities, project management skills, transformation skills, and so on and so forth. So again, a proliferation of project work and work to be done largely as organizations pivot to where the demand is for their services or create new services to address that demand. I know that last year we had a number of government officials from India come to talk to us as well about the growing role of India and the world of project management in India and how India is impacting growth in the South Asia region. And, $266 billion of stimulus to protect India from COVID-19 is in 2020. That's a phenomenal amount of money. The Prime Minister actually being quoted as being a project manager for India to help the transformation of India. Let's just take a look at what was said last year.
Our country has seen big shifts in the past 5 years in terms of economic progress, infrastructure development, market confidence, and social empowerment. Under the able leadership of the Prime Minister Sri Narendra Bhai Modi, we are on a mission to reform, perform, and transform transform the nation, transformation of the nation. Transformation means transforming the lives of the people. You could see very clearly that there is a zeal to transform India. That's why a lot of changes are happening in policy formulation, in implementation, and also in prioritization of the projects and programs in the country. The theme of this conference is Adopt, Transform, Accelerate, made possible by a project manager. Very apt. Project managers are extremely important for a nation's progress. The Prime Minister of India is a project manager for the project of the project of transformation of India. In every organization, in every project, in every program, there has to be a manager to manage, to lead, to guide, so that you'll be able to reach your goal. Project managers are extremely important for nation's progress. Whether it is a plan and execute projects well, be change leaders, or inspire people from different geographical locations, cultures, and ethnicity to work together for the common good.
I think that is a fantastic video. Transform the nation with zeal. The Prime Minister of India is a project manager, formulation, implementation, and prioritization. Fantastic words there. And so the whole purpose of sharing all of the previous slides is really to exemplify the fact that we are moving into a very different way of working in the future, and COVID has accelerated that. We call this future way of working the project economy, where there will be a proliferation of projects, where the world and organizations look to find new ways of getting work done in the future. Relying just on traditional ways of working is not going to be the norm, as COVID has shown us that a lot of organizations were caught and were shocked into having to respond at pace in new ways of working, reinventing themselves, using innovation, using different skill sets to re-emerge as different types of organizations. And I think that will continue into the future. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what is PMI doing as a consequence of this, and what are we learning, and what have we sensed from all of the activities that we see and the research that we're doing. So I'm just going to pivot a little bit into the response from PMI a little bit. And in order to help build a case, I just want to share some comments from other respected organizations. Accenture Technology is saying that 79% of executives agree the future of work will be based upon specific projects rather than roles. Deloitte is saying industries, organizations that embrace and nurture and cultivate human capabilities are likely to have a strategic advantage. And McKinsey, project management is a higher cognitive skill likely to rise in importance going forward beyond 2020. So major organizations recognizing the importance of project management skills and the need for human skills going forward. But still, we find ourselves in a situation, and again, from our own research, that, there's still a significant percentage of wastage as a result of poor project performance. And whilst organizations respect the importance of project management, a lot of organizations that don't respect the profession and don't and undervalue the project management profession fail. 67% of projects fail where organizations have undervalued the importance of project management. That's a significant number, and it's something that we can really help organizations with improving. Here's an extract from McKinsey talking about the fact that to emerge even stronger after the COVID-19 crisis it's important that organizations should start to reskill their workforces. Exactly what the Deloitte CEO was saying, that CEOs are focused on maintaining their talent, retaining their talent, upskilling their talent, etc. McKinsey echoing the same words recently. And in fact, they even issued out a report, and this is a very interesting report from McKinsey that looked at all different skill sets required for the future. And if you look, you'll see the top one, critical thinking and design and decision making, and then leadership and managing others, and then very close is project management. And it's not until you get a little bit further down do you see advanced IT skills and technology, which is not saying that they're not important. Of course they're important, but project management is right up there along with critical human skills like critical thinking, decision making, leadership, management, and project management. And then you see the technology skills, design skills, and so on and so forth. So McKinsey actually reporting the importance of project management as a key skill set, along with critical thinking, leadership, and management going forward into the future. And this is from the World Economic Forum. Just 2 weeks ago, they had a 4-day seminar for the entire world to go and watch, where they talked about talent for the future and the skills for the future. And these were their top 10 skills from their own research. And again, you see analytical thinking and innovation, active learning, complex problem solving, critical thinking, creativity, leadership, before you get to the technology design, etc. That's not to say that those skills, like technology skills, are not important. Of course they're important, but these other more human skills, what we like to call the power skills, are the ones that are really sort of starting to bubble up to the surface, and the world is starting to recognize that they are super important. We within PMI have tagged those skills as power skills. Typically they have been in the past called soft skills, but we think that they are the power skills of the future. And especially when you think about things like collaborative leadership, empathy for your employees, and empathy for the voice of the customer are becoming critical skills that leadership and project managers are displaying as they start to move into a post-COVID world. But of course, there are many others: innovative mindset, creativity, as you've seen from what McKinsey is saying and the World Economic Forum as well. So what does this all mean, and why are these skills becoming important? And I like to call it that the emergence of the gymnastic organization. With the result of all of these tectonic shifts, as we discussed in the Signpost report, or with COVID-type situations becoming more and more prevalent, organizations realize that they need to be super nimble, they need to be agile plus, they need to be flexible, but at the same time, they need to have structure, form, and they need to have governance. So when you think about it, they almost need to be gymnastic so that they can respond at speed against major implications to their business or shocks to their environment, or even if that shock is coming from somebody who's competing against you, or somebody who is coming up with a proposition that makes your proposition less viable in the market. Organizations are finding that they have to respond very, very fast, and they need to do it in a way that keeps their structure, keeps their form, and so on. And I like to call that the gymnastic organization. So how are we addressing that? And I want to talk about 3 specific areas where have launched and will be launching new certifications, new capabilities as well. And they are Discipline Agile, Wicked Problem Solving, and Citizen Developer. And you will remember that last year we made an acquisition with Discipline Agile and Flex to really build up our thinking around Discipline Agile and the world of the agile way of working. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but let me first of all start with Wicked Problem Solving, which we'll be launching. What is Wicked Problem Solving? This is a design thinking tool set that we have created in collaboration with Tom Wuchek, who has spent 30 years in the world of design thinking. And collectively, we've come up with a tool set that will really accelerate design thinking and a framework that you can use to help you innovate and solve very, very complex problems. I want to turn to Discipline Agile, and I'm assuming that many of you will have already seen a little bit about the Discipline Agile capabilities within PMI, because we acquired the company last year. We also acquired a company called Flex. Both organizations collectively with our ACP have created a very strong point of view about the agile way of working. And what we're trying to do now is actually expand that way of working to encapsulate the entire enterprise. And actually, the great thing about our disciplined agile approach is that you can still apply different agile ways of working, but do it in a very disciplined way. So think of it as an umbrella that sits over all the different methodologies around agile and creates the best way of working for you individually in your organization. So I have a small video that kind of explains that point a little bit further. So let's watch the two founders of Disciplined Agile talk about Disciplined Agile.
Disciplined Agile is an agnostic toolkit that captures agile, lean, traditional, and other techniques and puts them into context, helping you to decide which is the right strategy for you in the situation that you face. We like to observe that agile frameworks and methods will give you a fish, where in DA we like to extend that and teach you how to fish, to teach you and provide the guidance to you to choose your own way of working, to choose your wow.
You may be wondering why Disciplined Agile. A common approach to training your teams is to send them for a couple of days of training, then they go back to their jobs and they're expected to figure things out for themselves. That is not a very good approach. It's time consuming and it's expensive. A better approach is to teach the teams how to customize their way of working, teach them how to choose their wow, so that they can create a flavor of Agile that makes sense for their unique company, their industry, the teams and individuals on those teams. With the DA toolkit, you can do this. You will learn better strategies, fit for context strategies, so that you can tailor your Agile for what makes sense for you.
Fabulous. So our Disciplined Agile credentials and certifications are out there. Again, I would go to the PMI.org website. You can take a look at and see which ones are relevant for yourself. I also now want to talk a little bit about the citizen developer movement, which is a phenomenon that we're seeing across the globe, gaining a lot of traction right now. And here's a few comments for those of you who don't know what is the citizen developer movement. Forrester is saying that the low-code, no-code market is going to expand significantly over the next 2 years. These are the platforms that sit underneath citizen developer. Citizen developer, by definition, is the ability to allow any citizen anywhere to be able to create application code without the need for any or very little understanding of coding language. So you don't need to be a coder, a professional coder, to create an application. If you understand the workflow, the process, the bit that you want to codify and systemize, then you can use a low-code, no-code platform to create that application for you without the need for knowing any coding language whatsoever. Microsoft is saying that there are going to be 500 million applications that are going to be built over the next 5 years. 450 million of those are going to be built by citizen developers. These are people who have no expertise on or no or very little expertise on application development. And they'll be using these low-code, no-code tools to do that. Gartner is saying similar things too. By 2023, the number of active citizen developers will outstrip the number of professional developers by over 4 times. That is a significant change in the software development market. And of course, what that's going to do is it's going to create a proliferation of project work being done by functions that typically would hand that work over to IT departments or third parties to create those applications for them. Now those functions, be it finance, HR, legal, will be able to, do the work themselves, create their own solutions for their particular problem. Often you find that IT departments are inundated with requests for the business and only have the bandwidth to be able to do the most important projects. However, what Citizen Developer allows you to do is to actually enable everyone to be able to create their own solutions. Now, of course, on one side, that creates fantastic opportunities, and you can understand why organizations are very keen to unlock that potential. But on the other side, it can also cause a degree of chaos and complexity, as you don't want everyone in your organization going out there, picking any any low-code, no-code platform and creating an application, there needs to be some degree of control. There needs to be guardrails. There needs to be some degree of governance that allows you to control a situation. Otherwise, you can end up in a situation where everybody in your organization is creating applications and support, and then they need to be integrated and they need to be then supported and so on and so forth. So whilst on one side, it's a fantastic opportunity and cuts cost and it cuts time for solution development into a fraction of what it typically takes, there is also the challenges of creating a chaotic environment. So how do you capture both? And this is where citizen developer meets PMI, and where project management and the work that we have done around governance, standards, method, capabilities becomes very important. So let's take a small look at a video that explains our role in the citizen development movement.
For organizations to stay relevant, they need to be able to digitally transform their business. But with a global shortage of software developers, how can they advance the technical capability necessary to respond to rapidly changing markets, create innovative products and services, and deliver improvements in performance? Citizen development is the answer, where anyone in an organization can now use simple visual interfaces to build powerful apps significantly faster and at a fraction of the cost. These no-code or low-code platforms are democratizing how we build software solutions, putting the power in everyone's hands and reducing reliance on an overburdened IT team. And by 2023, it's expected that citizen developers will outnumber professional coders by 4 times. But there's still a lot to learn. And with no clear methodology or proper governance in place, organizations will struggle to unlock their full potential. It's time to take action now. PMI is bridging the gap between digital aspiration and effective strategy execution, offering books, courses, certifications, assessments, and a global online community, all designed to help organizations create an environment where citizen development flourishes. With an understanding of citizen developer best practices, teams can use any low-code or no-code platform to turn ideas into apps with no coding experience needed. Whether you're developing the next big mobile app, creating a bespoke CRM, or building an online community portal, PMI empowers people to unlock the full power and productivity of citizen development. If you're looking for basic training or specialized certifications, PMI can help you learn what it takes to safely and securely build applications in your organization at scale. Set the foundations for citizen development inside your organization today. Turn your ideas into apps. Learn more with PMI.
So we've been working with organizations like Tech Mahindra, Microsoft, Google, and many other many organizations to really build our point of view in the citizen developer space. And I'm very pleased to announce that we're launching a series of certifications, starting with a foundation course, moving to practitioner, and then moving up to the strategic citizen development. Also, we're launching a citizen developer body of knowledge, which captures all of the prerequisites that organizations need to consider when they are deploying a citizen developer capability throughout their entire organization, and some of the watch-outs and things that one needs to think about as they deploy this out. Also, alongside that, we also launched a portal for citizen development where anybody can log in and share their best practices. It's a community portal. Share their best practices, lessons learned, things to watch out for, even ways to approach using low-code, no-code to solve specific types of problems. What we see is not is a low-code, no-code capability applied to small challenges and small fixes to workflows and automating small things. It's also being used in several cases, in many cases actually, to actually reconfigure entire operating systems or business support systems for organizations. And so whilst you might think that software development firms might see this as a disruptive move, actually they're embracing it because they're saying if as organizations mature in the use of citizen development and low-code, no-code platforms, the complexity of the problems that they are capable of solving increases, and therefore there will be a need for SI organizations to create the more complex applications that are required in a low-code, no-code way. So whilst this might on the face of it sound like a disruption to the SI community, in fact it's complementary. And so we feel that as an agnostic governing institute that provides standards and practices, that we're ideally positioned to be the organization that can create the guardrails for organizations to mitigate the risk of having complexity being injected into their organization because of citizen developer. So we are very, very excited about this. The movement in citizen development is really accelerating. The growth is phenomenal. I just read yesterday that over 41% of organizations around the world are either using some form of low-code, no-code platform or are evaluating at this stage a low-code, no-code platform to help them create solutions and to unlock the capabilities of their employee base. Of course, you can imagine the number of projects that this is going to spin off as a result of this throughout organizations. And of course, you can also then imagine what this means for the PMO and for the Project Management Institute as it tries to wrap its arms around all these projects that are going to be created as a result of citizen development. Okay, so we've gone through a lot, right the way from executives and leaders in the project management field sharing their thoughts about the future of work in the first video, to tectonic shifts that are happening around the world that are really going to change the way work is going to be done in the future, the projectification, the proliferation of project work in the future, the impact of COVID, the need for digital transformation, the amalgamation of technology and human skills, the power skills and how they're going to be relevant, what the World Economic Forum is saying in terms of the skill sets required for the future, how that is being echoed by McKinsey, Forrester, Gartner, and then what that means for the different ways of working, and what PMI is doing to really come up with new ways of working to enable our communities to be able to be more effective and more relevant for the future. So a few takeaways for you all. Takeaway number one, ultimately, culture and behavior wins the day. It's the backbone of resilient organizations, and talent can take its skills elsewhere. And organizations are acutely aware of that. And that's why Deloitte is saying that a significant proportion of CEOs are concerned about attrition, are very keen to address people leaving their organizations, are very keen to address upskilling and reskilling their workforces. So because they're concerned that talent and good talent can walk, it can walk and go to the competitor, etc. So retention is becoming very, very important. The power skills is what most institutions around the world are now talking about, a major need for power skills or the softer skills. McKinsey report, the World Economic Forum report, our own analysis is showing that it's the human skills in combination with the tech skills creating the Iron Man scenario, which is better than the Terminator scenario that some people are advocating at this stage. So power skills are important. And if you're a project manager and you're thinking about what skills do I need for the future, come to our website, take a look, or have a look at what the World Economic Forum is saying, or even take a look at what McKinsey and Forrester and Gartner are saying, because they all resonate around collaborative leadership, creative thinking, critical thinking, analytics, leadership, management skills, and project management. Takeaway number two, we can't ignore the technical stuff. So we know that it's a combination of technical know-how and knowledge that gets work done. Having technical expertise is table stakes, really. It's an essential. It may not be the most important skill sets that are required, but an awareness of technology and how technology is moving and advancing, and layering your own leadership skills, experiences, your methods, your structures, and your soft skills is what makes the secret sauce of getting work done in the future. And through PMI, you have access to best practices and future ways of working. So my second takeaway is it's the combination, technical skills as well as knowledge and your human skills that will get work done in the future. And my third takeaway, automation is not going to stop. Technology is moving at a record pace and is continuing to do so. There's a meteoric adoption of technology, especially now because of COVID, where organizations are really accelerating their digital transformations. A good example is Citizen Developer. It unlocks the abilities of people who are typically waiting in a queue to be addressed by an IT department. They don't need to do that anymore. So it's unlocking huge potential, huge capabilities, and organizations are moving fast to grab this capability and ensure that any risk associated with it is taken off the table. And that's where the Project Management Institute comes in. Ultimately, why they're doing this? They're doing this because they're trying to become nimble, fast, responsive, reactive, creative. They want to be able to move at pace, but at the same time, they want structure, governance, and form. I call that the gymnastic organization. And I think you're going to see a lot of those gymnastic organizations in the future. Thank you all very much for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts and experiences and the direction that PMI is going. There was a lot of information there, and I hope you found it interesting. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at sunil@pmi.org. Otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you all so much.